British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe McHugh, and here are your 3 p.m. BCIT news headlines. WorkSafe BC says the province's manufacturing sector needs to focus on workers' safety, with the industry reporting significantly higher injury rates than others. The agency says the manufacturing sector reported 44% higher rates than the BC average across all industries for the last 5 years, totaling more than 4,300 serious injuries. The agency also says the sector saw more than 26,000 workers in the manufacturing sector losing time from work due to injuries during that time period. The most commonly reported causes of accidents leading to injury in manufacturing include overexertion, being struck by objects, falls, and getting caught in machinery. Now, with the BCGEU strike entering its 7th week with no resolution in sight, industry professionals are stressing. While it may be tough, industry practices are not in need of a major change.
Wine entrepreneur Alex Kim stresses that we shouldn't panic about how the wine is distributed.
This is not a time where we need to take drastic action to change everything wholesale. This is a time where we need to start reevaluating what we're doing as a province to help support the industry that brings in billions of dollars annually.
Change is always going to be a part of the industry. Instead, it's a chance to rethink how we can support local. It's a unique opportunity to put BC wine front and center, how we can build stronger connections within our communities and grow a more resilient, local-focused market right here in our own backyard. Braden Goodman, BCIT News.
The BC Highway Patrol is increasing enforcement action after reporting an uptick in recent motorcycle deaths. Police say 27 people have died so far this year in motorcycle crashes across the province, with 16 happening in July and August alone. Highway Patrol says speed has been the most common contributing factor in crashes, with impairment and distraction also among the top factors. Police say they are renewing enforcement efforts as the riding season draws to a close in light of a recent weekend enforcement action on October 4th and 5th, which resulted in 13 motorcycles being impounded on the Sea to Sky Highway. Now, police in Surrey are launching a pilot program that will see officers equipped with body-worn cameras for the next 6 months. The project is set to begin tomorrow, with road safety officers wearing and testing the recording devices for the duration of the 6-month initiative. Body cameras are already being worn by police officers in Vancouver and Delta, as well as by authorities in other provinces such as Ontario and Alberta. Surrey police say the cameras have been shown to enhance public transparency and trust in policing actions. Additionally, body-worn cameras work to improve evidence collection and documentation. Now in the energy world, Prime Minister Mark Carney was asked about the possible removal of emission caps and tanker bans in BC after pressure from Alberta Premier Daniel Smith and the oil and gas industry. Our reporter Kai Garcia has more.
The federal government plans to announce their climate competitiveness strategy by the end of the month. Prime Minister Mark Carney expressed interest in energy opportunities like new pipelines and carbon capture projects. Emily Lowen, BC Greens party leader, spoke on what should be done and how costly these projects could be for Canadians.
And it comes at the opportunity cost of billions in taxpayer funding that could go towards an east-west electricity grid and transmission lines that would actually further secure our economic and energy sovereignty.
Lowen said with the rise of global fascism, an escalating climate emergency and affordability crisis, that Canadians should hold people accountable. Kai Garcia, BCIT News.
Now into Quebec, where a Superior Court judge has ordered a man to pay $5,000 for improperly using artificial intelligence to defend himself in court. Jean Laprade was ordered to pay the fine after he was found to have cited expert quotes and jurisprudence that don't exist. The decision is the latest in a legal saga that began in 2019. It's related to a business deal that dates back to a time when Laprade was based in Guinea. He was asking the Quebec court not to approve a 2021 decision by the Paris International Arbitration Chamber that ordered him to pay some $2.7 million for an airplane he claimed to have been awarded in a business deal. Into California, where a rare October storm is bringing heavy rain and mudslide warnings to Southern California. AP correspondent Julie Walker has more.
As downpours moved through Southern California, drivers hydroplaned and accidents were reported on flooded roads. The National Weather Service issuing flash flood warnings in several counties that recently had wildfires.
Really concerned that as these higher rain rates hit those burn scars, it could bring some of that debris down with it in a flooding situation.
He says they're clocking wind gusts of up to 60 miles per hour, and rainfall totals in some spots are at 3.5 inches.
And it's not so much the amount of rain in total that can cause problems with this storm. It's when the really heavy stuff comes and you get a really big downpour in a very short amount of time.
Evacuations are in effect in some areas. I'm Julie Walker.
Back to Canada for a minute here. Ontario's premier says he threatened to beat up a shoplifter.
The episode apparently happened at a Home Depot over the summer when Premier Doug Ford ditched his security detail to go buy plants. He says a man walked out of the store with 2 backpacks trailed by security guards. They claimed he stole something, but Ford says they stopped following the man because they'd been told not to do anything in those situations. Ford says he tracked the guy down and demanded he open up his bag.
And then I went on to tell him if I ever see him in the parking lot, he's going to get a beating like he's never got before.
Ford says the bag contained a saw blade the store manager said was stolen. Jason White, The Canadian Press, Toronto.
President Donald Trump has threatened to withdraw assistance from Argentina if its internal politics don't align with U.S. interests in the upcoming elections. The comments were made during a meeting with Argentine President Javier Milei, who faces midterm elections later this month. Trump criticized an opponent as extremely far left and warned that U.S. support would not continue if Milei doesn't succeed. The U.S. has provided $20 billion in aid to Argentina, which Trump described as helping a great philosophy take over. Treasury Secretary Sot Besant expressed confidence in Milei's coalition continuing its reform agenda. While meeting with Milei, Trump was asked about the Israel-Palestine resolution kind of conflict. U.S. President Trump is at the White House today.
President Trump issuing a stark warning to Hamas, telling me at the White House Tuesday.
And if they don't disarm, we will disarm them. And it'll happen quickly and perhaps violently.
The president said Hamas knows he is, quote, not playing games. I asked what deadline he would put on the group before taking action. He said, quote, a reasonable period of time. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Now, Fox News, the former employer of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, has joined a near-unanimous outpouring of news organizations rejecting new rules for journalists based in the Pentagon. Fox signed on to a statement with ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN saying they would not agree to Hegseth's new rules. They said the policy is without precedent and threatens core journalistic protections. So far, only the conservative One America News Network has said its reporters would follow the new regulations. Hegseth has said that outlets who don't agree with the new rules by the end of Tuesday, which restricts reporting on news not specifically approved by his team, will be evicted from the Pentagon on Wednesday. On to sports now. Depth winger Kiefer Sherwood scored twice, but his Vancouver Canucks fell 5-2 to the St. Louis Blues last night. The Blues held Vancouver's top line of Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, and Jake DeBrusk off the scoresheet. Canucks head coach Adam Foote says it's too early in the season to talk about whether he needs more from his top players.
We're not going to get into that. The top guys know, I'm sure they're thinking about their power play or, it's been 3 games and they want to get it going, but we're not going to analyze that at this moment.
Now the Canucks can get back in the win column Thursday when they kick off a 5-game road trip against the Stars in Dallas. For the Jays, the Seattle Mariners dumped the Toronto Blue Jays 10-3 last night to take a 2-0 lead in the American League Championship Series. Seattle first baseman and Mississauga, Ontario native Josh Naylor says his team gives it the best effort every time.
We have full belief in each other as teammates, as a whole locker room, coaching staff included, and we want to play hard. If you play hard, good things will happen.
Game 3 in the best-of-7 series is set to go tomorrow night in Seattle. For Canadians women's soccer, after watching her team stumble in a 3-0 loss to the powerful U.S. last time out, Canadian women's soccer team head coach Casey Stone has a message for her players ahead of the October international window.
I think it was to come in and have no expectations in terms of not thinking coming in, you thinking you're going to play. It's about coming in, competing in training, making sure that we're at the levels mentally, making sure that we are ready to play against top opponents. I think as an organisation, we can set the team up better, playing better opponents before we play kind of number one, number two in the world.
Now, both games are going to be taking place in Europe, one against Switzerland and in Switzerland on October 24th, and then the Netherlands on October 28th. Keeping with soccer here, the World Cup qualifier between Italy and Israel has taken place without major incidents, amid a heavy police presence that included snipers on the stadium roof. Italy won 3-0 in a game that had been placed in the highest risk category, despite a breakthrough in the ceasefire deal that has paused 2 years of war in Gaza. There were skirmishes between protesters and police on the streets of Udine at a pro-Palestinian demonstration before the match, but no disruptions during the game itself. The Israel team bus was escorted to the stadium by 13 police vehicles, including some from the Special Forces. The U.S. men's Olympic team is changing their coach. They've announced Eric Spoelstra as the new coach for the men's team for the 2027 World Cup in Qatar and the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Spoelstra, the Miami Heat's longtime coach, takes over from Steve Kerr, who led the team to gold in Paris in 2024. Now we've got hydrogen race cars. AP correspondent Bara Anner reports from the desert in Saudi Arabia on the world's first hydrogen-powered race cars.
I'm in Qiddiya, Saudi Arabia, where the FIA's new hydrogen off-road series, Extreme Edge, is making its debut powered by hydrogen fuel cell technology. The series brings zero-emission racing into the desert using vehicles designed for off-road conditions. The cars, known as Pioneer 25, generate electricity by combining hydrogen with oxygen, producing only water vapor as exhaust. With extreme weather and rugged terrain, the series tests not just the speed of these cars, but their resilience and innovation.
Now, as far as the weather is concerned, sunshine is expected to continue through Thursday this week before we see some clouds come in on Friday. The rain is expected to make a return on Saturday and Sunday. Those were your 3 p.m. news headlines. I'm Joe McHugh, BCIT News.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 6.
When I tell people that I studied journalism, they immediately say, oh, you want to be a reporter. But I think, in my case personally, I really want to go into magazines, PR, social media. And I think here at school we learn a lot of skills that allow you to go into that world, because you learn how to write for social media, social content, for websites,